Imagine walking into your boss's office and giving notice because your writing has become your primary revenue stream. Or your podcast is successful enough that you can quit your day job. Or maybe having your marketing on autopilot so you can spend your time on the art career you love rather than on marketing. Are you a creative person who's great at what you do, but marketing makes you freeze? You're not alone. I help passionate, purpose-driven creatives overcome fear, find their brand voice, and build a marketing strategy that works for them. Oh yeah, I also make it easy and painless. It's never too late to grow the business you've been dreaming about. Book an introductory call with me, Rob Southgate, at southgatesmallbusiness.com today. And let's take the pain out of marketing together. One of my favorite events from last year is happening again, and you don't want to miss it. Books and Brews 2 will be held on Saturday, August 2nd, 2025, at the Wyndham Hotel in Noblesville, Indiana, just outside of Indianapolis. You can meet over 60 horror authors, all in one place. You can buy books on site, or you can bring what you already have and you can get them signed while you meet the authors. Books and Brews 2 is brought to you by the incredible horror book Facebook group, Books of Horror. Get your tickets today by clicking the link in the show notes. You don't need to be afraid. It's just horror authors. Welcome to Ink Blots, the show where I interview authors about their lives, writing, and the books they love. Be sure to follow the Ink Blots podcast on Substack. Not only can you listen to the latest episodes, but our Substack also has interview transcriptions and links to books and other items that we talk about on the show. If you like what we're doing, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on YouTube. It really helps us and our sponsors out. Oh, and leave comments. We really do read and respond to every one. Now, let's get on with the show. Welcome to Ink Blots. I'm Rob Southgate. I am your terrified host. I've been interviewing horror authors nonstop for a while here, and today is no exception. I have with me Joey Powell, horror author extraordinaire. Look, I really built that up, I think. Hi, Joey. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for having me. This is really fun.
So the reason I'm having Joey on is not just he's an awesome person, but he is going to be at Books and Brews 2, which is August 1st at the Wyndham Hotel in Noblesville, Indiana. You can meet him. You can get a signature. Do that. Buy all of his books. Come prepared to buy all of his books. Okay, Joey, I think I've done you a service now.
You have. Thank you.
So let's get into some of these questions. Let's start out with give people a little background about yourself. Who are you? How'd you get into this whole thing?
Yeah, so I am a publisher and an author and a cover designer. I kind of like to have my fingers in every different aspect of the creative process that goes into bookmaking. I started out in filmmaking. So I went to film school back for college and spent the rest of my early career just being an office drone, basically. So I've had a long tech career, and shortly after my son was born, I started writing again. So I got the creative itch, and I ended up publishing my first book, Nightmares from the Gray. It was a self-pub, but I used it as a way of launching a publishing company. So
perfect. Good idea.
Yes. And, I've actually talked to a lot of people who have done the same thing, where it's like, I didn't do it to add legitimacy to my book. My intention was always to publish other people's work, but I wanted to make all the mistakes with my book before I published their work. So
that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And as far as how I ended up getting involved with Books and Brews, I actually used to do a podcast, and I just by happenstance, I reached out to Tiffany through indie book boxes. I'm like, I love the concept of these book boxes with indie titles. Like, why don't I interview you for the podcast? I had no idea she was involved in, this massive Books of Horror Facebook group. I had no idea. We ended up really hitting it off, and she was like, oh, you're an author too? Great. Why don't I put one of your books in a box? Hey, there's this event called Books and Brews. And so I'm like, I always call myself the person with the least amount of clout at Books and Brews. Like, I've joked that some year I'm going to wear a shirt that says "Just happy to be here," but yeah, I'm really happy to be at these events because like the people are really cool. The authors are awesome. I've met some amazing people, and the crowd that shows up, they're just so fun to talk to. So I'm really looking forward to the second one.
Of all the groups that I've worked with, all the different, geek groups and author groups and all that, the horror fan and the horror author and the horror filmmaker are my three favorites.
Yeah.
Like they're just the best.
Yes.
They're just like, and everybody at Books and Brews last year, I walked out of there with like legit friendships, like people writing me, here it's a year later, are you going to be there? Oh, I want to try this. Are we going to be able to go to dinner? It's like, wow, man. With all the people I interview, you sometimes reconnect, but all these authors have been doing that. And it's funny how I've had authors, when I ask the question, who do you most want to meet? They've said names that they're like, oh my God, I would die if I met them. And I'm like, oh, I've been writing with them all day, and not to show off. It's just, they're just so nice.
Yes. Yeah. No, I mean, I completely agree. That's something that really surprised me because having a filmmaking background, I'm used to going to like film festivals and mingling with filmmakers. And that's a different beast in and of itself. I've made a lot of really unique connections through filmmaking, but there's so much self-promotion that goes into that because there's even less potential for making money with filmmaking than there is with books. And so I've never been at a festival where it actually feels like everybody is there to meet, to make friends, you know? And I've made a ton of friendships through the group. So yeah, I'm just really happy to be here.
Happy to be here.
Shirt would imply. Yes.
You know what? You really should have that shirt next time you show up. That would be.
Last year I wore a Haley Newland fan club shirt. So
and you ended up next to Haley Newland.
Yeah, exactly. When I knew that I actually designed that shirt before I knew that we were going to be in a booth together. And when it turned out we were going to be paired together at the twin booth, I call it, because Haley is a twin, brought her twin. I am a twin, brought my twin. And it turns out this year we're having the twin booth again.
Now I remember you.
Yes.
I remember that booth. I loved that. You guys scared me because twins were a little creepy, you know.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And we're all the creepiest of twins. You know?
Of course. Of course. Yeah. I just actually listened to, this is so ironic. Today I listened to a podcast all about the paranormal doppelganger and about twins and how they're talking about how you have a twin, but they're not a biological twin. Like all these stories of people meeting their twin.
Oh, yeah. Identical stories freak me out. Yes.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So yeah, your whole booth kind of freaked me out, but
but we have a lot of fun. A lot of people came up to the booth and told us, like, we had people come back saying that I really like your booth because it seems like you guys just want to talk and chill. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not like hard selling books. I just really like meeting people in this.
And you're really happy to be there. Yeah.
Happy to be here. Yes.
Yeah. It is just a fabulous event. I can't encourage people enough to go to it. That's why I'm going to put links in the show notes so people can go and meet everybody. I mean, it's a great time. So, okay, let's get into some questions here. Aside from just like, Books and Brews. When you wrote your first story, what was it about? Mm-hmm. Your very first story. What was it about?
So the first book. Yeah, so the first book I wrote. Do you mean in life, my first story?
That's what I'm going for. I said it in a weird way, but I want to hear when you first wrote a story that you remember, like I remember in junior high writing 3 stories. Just, I had these ideas, I wrote them out, and I turned them in and said, do I get extra credit? And I remember 2 of them still to this day, 340 years later. I still remember those.
I actually, funny you say that. I remember back when I was in high school, I wrote a script for something that I called Tall Tales. And it ended up, it was kind of feature length. It was like 60-ish pages long. So technically, I don't know, if it were really stylish. Yeah. But it ended up getting some... I got some eyes on it from like a local producer, director, and then a cinematographer was attached to it. And
cool.
It was the first thing I officially optioned, nothing whatsoever. But that was the first time I was in a room with a bunch of people talking about my story, and it seemed to have some kind of weight to it. You know, people were taking it seriously. They were taking me seriously as a writer.
How old were you when that happened?
I was I was 19, so wrote it when I was in high school, went off to college. And then when I was 19, that's when people started getting interested in it. And it's interesting because I read it now. Well, I haven't read it in a long time, but looking back on it, I was like, this definitely has the tropes of someone who was interested in filmmaking when they were 18, 19. Like it's nonlinear, very Quentin Tarantino-esque dialogue, and it has kind of, juvenile themes. And I would never write something like it now, but it's just a really interesting experience, and it sticks out to me.
That's interesting. And that probably led towards more of that love of the filmmaking stuff. Like that entrance point, I get it. Once you've been in the room, you want to be back in that room.
Yeah, there's nothing quite as gratifying as seeing people pick apart your story in like a really positive, constructive way. Like, oh, this actually means something. Like this has some value. We're going to make something out of this,
Yeah.
Of course, it never got made, but that was cool. That was cool. That was a first foot in the door in terms of I could actually do something like this. So, yeah.
Yeah, you said you went to film school. Where did you go?
I went to the University of North Carolina, Wilmington. So,
great.
Wilmington actually, here in North Carolina, it actually does have a long history of filmmaking. Some David Lynch movies were shot here. They had Screen Gym Studios. I think they still have Screen Gym Studios. Some Marvel movies were shot there, but shortly after I graduated, the tax incentive for filmmaking went away. Right. So I wasn't able to actually get into the production career path after graduating, which is why I ended up becoming a techie. So that's life sometimes. Hey, you got to pay the bills, right? Unless, whoever employs me is watching this at any given time, in which case I am totally on board for increasing shareholder value.
So did you want to direct, or were you like, yeah, I really want to, the filmmaking process to me is I want to be a writer and I want to be on set working it that way?
I was always interested in writing, and I was interested in the technical side too. My brother, my twin, is actually a director. So,
oh really?
As sort of, yeah. So as collaborators,
and this chump has not hired you to write a bunch of things and work with you.
So interesting you say that, because so Josh, my twin, as a creator, he thinks about stories in a different way than I do. So it never really makes sense for us to like adapt each other's stuff.
Sure.
What we usually do is he writes and directs and I act. So I really like being in front of the camera.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, since you mentioned that, we actually did something. We have a book we co-authored coming out in July. So it's going to be there for Books and Brews. It's called Night Games. And so we did a little experiment. I said, why don't we write a book in two halves? So you write the first half, come up with the concept, the characters, all that stuff, and I will just finish it. I'll write the entire second half. And it ended up being a really interesting exercise because I wanted to put weirder stuff into it, and he made more of a traditional like horror thriller. And so that meshing of ideas and worlds, it was just kind of fascinating to kind of put that together.
I love this idea. Did you feel that, or if he wrote the first half, did he have to go back and add some fantastical elements, or did you feel it was more you had to tame your part of it down a little?
It's a really good question. So I told him, I was like, hey, I need to seed some things in. So I need to go back and write a chapter in your part. I'm just giving you a heads up. So there is one chapter that is 100% me that takes place in his part 1, but that serves the story and some beats that happen later on. What was really cool is that he created all these characters that I had to finish the arcs to. So, I get to decide who lives and who dies and who has redemption.
So he didn't give you any
really cool
indications. He's like, here's the sandbox. Now you play.
No. So what we wanted to do, he had this concept of doing what's called, the night games, where a bunch of wealthy elites, the 1%, they lure in a bunch of lower class young individuals who are down on their luck and they need money, and basically put them to, fights to the death. And so I'm like, that sounds really interesting. That's very Squid Games. And I said, I think it would be really interesting if we do like a Hellraiser twist on this. So I'm like, let's make Squid Games meets Hellraiser. And so basically everything I write, it has to do with a lot of very like hellish, nightmarish underworld imagery. And so I wanted to bring that to this book. And I'm like, okay, how do we get from this point, which is, basically Squid Game? It's grounded, it's a heightened reality, but then we get into this more demonic hell world kind of version of it. And so that was really fascinating to mix that in. And according to some people who have read it already, seems to have worked. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it.
It sounds really cool. It's one that I definitely want to pick up.
Thank you.
Even before knowing you, when you're describing it, the pitch is great. It sounds super cool. Plus, it's got the weird twin element just because it's you guys. That's especially creepy. I picture you guys standing in little dresses at the end of a long hallway. It's got the orange and red carpet. That's just how I picture every twin. So
we keep threatening to do that every Halloween. It just doesn't happen. We frequently act with another set of twins, a female set of twins, and they're models too. And so they do photo shoots together. And whenever we see them posting their pictures, we're like, okay, we need to take those outfits and copy that photo shoot.
Oh my God, please do that.
We're going to do it.
You definitely need to do that. So you said you've done some acting. You've been in shorts. Have you done any feature films or anything?
No, not. So, I mean, I've been in one feature. It was very, very low budget, and that was back in college. But, I mean, time being, it's not something I'm like extremely serious about. It's something that I do for fun. So short film, something that I can shoot like over the course of a couple weekends. That's usually the sweet spot for me.
Yeah. I am obsessed with short films, and I've been in a bunch myself. I love it. It's so much fun. It's fun to be on set. It's fun to be working with all the creatives. It's just, all of it is fun. There's the word of the day. Okay. Let's see. More questions. Writing rituals. Do you have any? Like certain music, certain snacks?
It's a really good question. Usually I write best with a fresh cup of coffee, so it has to be hot. But so I have a 3-year-old now, and I'm a very involved father, and I'm a stay-at-home dad at the moment, so I'm in between jobs. And that means that I only write when I can, basically. So
with a 3-year-old, you've got 10-minute chunks.
Exactly. Sometimes that means like if I'm really trying to get something to the finish line, because I have to set deadlines for myself, then that might mean 4 a.m. wake ups, wake up at 4 a.m., bust out, as many words as I can in about 45 minutes to an hour. That's what I'll do. Maybe nap time is when I write, so that's just, the two worlds colliding of me being a dad and a writer. So
Right. So, writing horror, you got a 3-year-old. I'm kind of brewing on something here. Do you feel that writing horror is like going to continue to be your bag? You've got this kid. Do you say like, I want to write horror, but I've got these kids book ideas I'm about to jump into? Is writing horror like, yeah, this is the thing. I'm all in.
Yeah. So it's a really good question. I think reading between the lines is kind of like, hey, are you going a little soft now that you have a kid? Which I totally get.
Not that you're going soft, but are you looking forward saying, maybe I'll go a little soft at some point?
Yeah, no, I totally get it. So the first book I published, it was more for a younger audience. So it was, I would call it YA. And as a publisher, one of the lines that I published is called Totally Freaked. So it's very 90s nostalgia YA adjacent. So think like Goosebumps and Fear Street and Point Horror. Sure. And those books are so much fun. And the authors who write them have so much fun writing them. And I love those so much. And I have always thought about in terms of like fun horror and not like dark and dour horror, even though the 2 books that I have coming out this year, they're very dark and overtly political. But I think moving forward, especially some of the stuff I'm writing now, it does lean more into fun. And I do have some YA ideas that I do want to write as soon as I get more time. So the answer is yes.
Once
I want to write lighter stuff.
When your kid is old enough to read your YA, you'll be writing the YA, right?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And by then, who knows how the kids will be talking and what social media will look like.
Yeah, right.
Everything changes. So
everything changes. Okay. So you were talking about writing with your brother, and you were talking about how you were kind of injecting things here. outside of your brother, but I guess it goes with your brother as well. What advice would you give to aspiring writers if they're feeling like stuck or discouraged? Because I'm thinking, here's your brother writing this first part of the book. He's got these ideas, but we always hit brick walls.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of advice do you give to your brother or to an aspiring writer that's like, yeah, I hit that wall?
Mm-hmm. It's a really good question, because like people do ask me this sometimes, and the advice I give to people is everybody thinks about a story in terms of the beginning. They think about it in terms of the setup. What is the first half of the story? And I say, no, think about the second half, because if you think about the ending, think of a really cool ending. What kind of ending would you like to see? What was the last movie you saw that really disappointed you because it had a great setup, but a terrible ending?
Terrible ending, yep.
So think about it in those terms, because so much of good writing is setup and payoff. If you create the payoff, you can go back in and create the setup. So that's what I always tell people.
That is exceptional advice. When I've mentioned before, I started out in acting and doing some writing, and I was doing comedy. Mm-hmm. And something that drove me crazy was watching like Saturday Night Live, where I'd always go, 90% of the time, they don't know what the ending of their scene is. And it's like everything falls flat. And when I would write, I would try to do exactly what you said. I want to know where that last joke is, and then I'll get us there. But if you can make that if you can tag that thing, the rest of it is just easy peasy. But most writers that I see writing comedy, and I see it in horror too, they want to do all the meat grinder. They want to do all the funny stuff. And then it's like, okay, you'll be fine at the end. We're going to have 45 minutes of thank yous at the end. No, no, man. Give me something cool. So is there a character that you've written that has stayed with you long after the book is done?
Yes. Yeah, 100%. So you talk about, we talk about being inspired by you wanted to see something end in a different way. So one of the characters that stuck with me is a character called Leslie that I wrote in my first book, Nightmares from the Gray. So I talk about being inspired by something that happened at the ending, which I wish would have happened a little bit differently. So when I saw Stranger Things season 4, which basically all my work is inspired by Stranger Things in some way, I'm a Stranger Things freak. I love that imagery of Eddie playing the electric guitar.
Yeah, in hell or in the underworld.
Yes, yeah. Love it. But to me, it was a little disappointing that I wanted that to actually mean a little bit more than it's just a really cool guitar solo. I wanted Eddie to be the one that saved the world. Okay.
Right.
So the character of Leslie Massoud was born. I had also been watching this British show called We Are Lady Parts, which is about a bunch of yeah. It's about a bunch of Pakistani British people who they're Islamic, and so all of the rock music it's forbidden in their culture, and so I infused these two ideas about this female punk rocker who's Pakistani American, and people really seem to like that character in Nightmares from the Gray. And everyone who reads the book goes yeah, I really could see myself in Leslie because she was such a cool character. So yeah, that's someone who, if I do write a sequel to that book, it's definitely going to feature her as the main character, not a side character.
I love it. Okay, I got 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
These always have these questions. I don't know where you're at in the world, but is this your first time coming to Indiana, Chicago, and out here in the Midwest?
Funny you asked that. I actually went to Indiana. My cousin graduated from Indiana University. That was the only time I went to Indiana. I went to the graduation ceremony.
All right. So is there anything you're looking forward to doing in the Indianapolis area?
So I am actually going to be staying with the Newlands. So Hannah and Haley are going to be housing Josh and I, and I'm sure they have some fun things planned for us. So time will tell. We'll see. I don't know yet. I made them promise that we do karaoke though.
Okay. And you know what? You make them promise that you guys are going to wear matching twin outfits. Very weird. So that but it should be you and Haley dressed the same, and then your brother and her sister dress. Make it weird. Okay. August 1st, Wyndham Hotel, Noblesville, Indiana. Last question for Joey Powell. Who is it you're most looking forward to meeting at Books and Brews too. You went last year, so you got to meet him. Who is it this time? I'll even give you an out. Who is it you're most looking forward to seeing again, other than Haley?
So there are a lot of individuals who I was really looking forward to meeting who actually cannot come anymore. But in terms of the ones I'm most looking forward to meeting, I don't think it's like fair to say the featured authors, but Adam Caesar is one of my favorite authors, and I'm really excited to meet him. Clay McLeod,
I think it's fair
as well. Yes. Clay just has like a wonderful personality. I've talked to him a little bit because I'm doing an anthology for Books and Brews. But as far as the people I'm looking forward to seeing again, Haley Newland, BFF, and I'm publishing a book with her through MadX Media for Halloween. So we're going to be promoting that. So yes, a lot to look forward to.
Lots to look forward to. All right. So once again, marching orders. You're going to go to Books and Brews 2. It's August 1st, the Wyndham Hotel in Noblesville, Indiana, right outside of Indianapolis. You're going to meet Joey Powell. You're going to buy every one of his books. You're going to get them signed. You're going to go to Haley's, buy all of her books. Go with money. You're going to want all this stuff. It's an amazing, amazing event. And I mean, it's the greatest time. It's the greatest time. And you know what? Tell him how great he was in those movies. He'll be shocked because nobody's seen him. And he'll be like, oh my God, you knew that?
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
I know how it works. Joey, thank you so much. I really wish I was going this year. I can't. It's my daughter's graduation. So I won't be there, but know that I'm there in spirit. And yeah, man, next time.
I'll catch you next time. And you know what? I'll say we should just flip the script and we should all go to your daughter's graduation instead.
All right. Sounds good.
I'll see you there.
Yeah, it's, you know what? I'll tell you the address. Oh no, we just cut out.
Oh no. On purpose that time.
All right, Joey. Thank you so much.
This has been fun.
At Books and Brews. Sell everything.
I will try. I'll do my darndest, but I really appreciate it. And hope I can run into you soon.
Everything will be in the show notes. You can buy his books. You can get tickets to Books and Brews. All in the show notes again. That's it. Thank you, Joey.
Okay. Thank you. Talk soon.